Travis Van Goodsell, learning Mormonism step by step. So today, the GOP took over the House, and because none of you have done your research, you just see the outward appearance, and you don't see the underlying danger to America, nor do you see the Book of Mormon as prophesying about this. Prophesying. And so, born and raised Mormon, we have the Book of Mormon, we read the Book of Mormon, we learn about Nephi talking about the great and abominable church and all the atrocities founded by the devil and secret signs and secret conspiracies and all this evil. And we don't connect it to our reality, to our life. We aren't likening the scriptures unto ourselves and to our situations around us. We're not looking for the great and abominable church because we're in the one true church. Why should we need to look for the great and abominable? We won't be deceived because we're in the one true church. And then, if you're female in the church, there will come a time where the church prophets will say something or give a commandment which will go against your female nature. And you'll be upset, and there will be pressure from church leaders, even from family and friends who are Mormon, for you to conform and comply. And only the rebellious will be upset and leave the church. And so you're the ones who recognize that the prophets are sexist, misogynistic. And then if you're black, you'll learn that the church withheld the priesthood from blacks, withheld the temple rituals from blacks. And then you find out that Joseph Smith didn't. He actually restored it and gave the priesthood to blacks, allowed the temple rituals for blacks. So what happened with Brigham Young? And you may watch the debate between Kwaku and some critics of the church, where Kwaku is forced to admit that Brigham Young was racist. And you see the expression on his face as he collapses spiritually and mentally inside. And he's stuck in a dilemma. Just got promoted to be a Mormon apologist. And now he just got slammed with the reality that this church is racist. The prophets are racist. And so if you're LGBTQ, IAPO+, yeah, the church has always had it in for you. We've got the churches tampering with the elections to get Mike Lee voted in. They had the Plan B, so that if they were to win the Senate, or if they don't win the Senate, they had Rick Scott set up to run for Senate majority or minority leader, and he lost today, by the way. And so Plan B failed. And they had the other plan of the vote for the Marriage Equality Act, or whatever it's called, is now going through the Senate, as the church had other senators also compromised, plus a judge on the Supreme Court justice. Why? In case there were lawsuits against any of these bills that would end up going to the Supreme Court. And so you see that the church had multiple plans to accomplish their goals. But the abuse that the church has committed for LGBTQIA+PL plus is obvious. It's been a very frustrating and disappointing experience for many Mormon families who have had to leave the church because they know that the church prophets are bigots. And if you're another religion, yeah, the church discriminates against you. The church are religious bigots. And if you're poor, you realize that the church isn't helping you. If you're in a third world country or if you're in America, church destroys lives, causes poverty, and refuses to lift people out of poverty despite their enormous wealth that they flaunt all over the world, especially in third world countries, demanding the 10% tithing of those who are poor. And so those who are poor know the church isn't true, that the prophets neglect the poor. And then Jews, which are both a racial group and a religious group, so that's combined together as the church is anti-Semitic. And yet you'll see the church put up a front saying, hey, we're meeting with women, we're allowing them to have a voice, we're allowing women to wear slacks. Well, we've got a buddy-buddy relationship with the NAACP. Oh, we're working Bridges of Tomorrow or whatever that's called for LGBTQ. Oh, look at all these bills we're getting passed through the government and now through the Senate. Oh, see, we support you. Except for the clause where they're exempt from supporting them. But yeah, all of these things are a front for their hatred. And when you combine all these together, racist, sexist, bigoted, neglecting the poor, anti-Semitic, what do you get? White supremacist. And as a front, as a religious group claiming to be Christian nationalist. And so then you find the book, Moroni and the Swastika, and you learn that the church supported Hitler and Nazi Germany, punished any German Mormon who tried to rescue and save the Jews. And you realize that they are Nazi fascists. And then you take a trip to Temple Square, and you're able to go to a wedding of a family member, and you're out there for the pictures at the doors of the Salt Lake Temple. And you look up and you go, hey, wait a minute, that's an inverted pentagram. That's what the Book of Mormon from Isaiah says is the symbol of Lucifer. What's that doing on our temple? And then you find out that the church is the Great and Abominable Church. And so any one person who only knows the one form of hate from the prophets don't put the whole pieces of the puzzle together like I've done. Because then it gets worse. They replaced Joseph Smith. They replaced his church. They replaced his Christ. They had him assassinated. They paid for Joseph Smith to be assassinated. We all know what scripture story that comes from. Yeah, Joseph sold by his brothers into Egypt. Right? Yeah. And Judah also. Judah. They are apocalyptic literature. But that same process of learning the church isn't true, and not just not true, but pure evil, was also for finding out that Joseph Smith was true. that he was a translator. That's what I pursued, because I wanted to know how the Egyptian stuff was to be translated. Nobody was telling me. Everybody said, I don't know. Nobody knows. Prophet will tell us when we're worthy or when he is inspired by God to do so. And you have to, wait until you're older and go through the temple and blah, 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 blah. All excuses. So for me, being born and raised Mormon, if I had a question, I wanted it answered. I didn't want excuses. And so there's numerous occasions where when there is no answer, I had to do the pioneer research and study to find that answer myself. And so I became the decipherer of Paleo-Hebrew. I became the decipherer of all the other alphabetic language. I became the decipherer of all of the Egyptian signs that are not in any sign list. And that then led me to recognize that the Bible stories were from the Egyptian documents, and recognizing that they're then apocalyptic literature, as they are giving story form of what John in Revelation is giving star dates for. And so for me, I see the big picture. Having done the work, having learned step by step by step by step by step, line upon line, precept upon precept, I have climbed to the top of the mountains multiple times, literally and figuratively. And so, how do I get this across to you guys? When critics maybe have a few at most of the whole big picture, and so they don't know the big picture. And so when I tell you the big picture, you don't believe. You don't believe that Joseph Smith was framed by Brigham Young and his Danites, because Danites had written in their journals to accuse Joseph Smith. Brigham Young forged documents that became sections in the Doctrine and Covenants, claiming to be by Joseph Smith. And you don't see the big picture. You don't put the pieces of the puzzle together. Because once you realize that they are the great and abominable church, then what else does the Book of Mormon tell us about them? They take away the plain and precious parts of Joseph Smith's scriptures. It's used in story form, and it's talking about a great and abominable church that takes the record of the Jews and changes it and takes away the plain and precious parts. But unless you get an actual witness and a testimony that this church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the great and abominable church, you aren't going to make the proper conclusions, because your premises are lacking or they're incorrect in their interpretation. So you're reaching the wrong conclusions. And so, how do I warn you guys? Because I've been trying since 2017 to help you understand that an exodus is coming away from the church and away from Utah. See, look at this. I've got wounds in my hands and in my feet. When I ascended to the mountain, stood on the mountain, and I get it, but you guys don't get it. You guys don't realize that we need to get the hell out of here. And I tell you that the prophecies told us of the dates when we were supposed to leave, and you just missed it. Yesterday was the last day for the second harvest, and you missed it. And so the sign in the heavens today for November 22, 9th month, 22nd day. Anybody remember Joseph Smith's history? What was the date that was used 4 times twice over. 22nd of September, which is in our calendar the 9th month, rather than the Julian calendar, which is the 9th month. Which is why Christians incorrectly believe that December 25th is the birth of Jesus, because under the Julian calendar it was actually March 17th. And I only stumbled across it by doing a Google search for something else and found it. And so I added it to my 200-pound Egyptian gold plates for the history of the people, as I'm afraid that I'm going to be stuck in some cave somewhere, assuming I survive. Running my generators, solar-powered generators, living out the rest of my life alone, having witnessed the entire destruction of my people, the human race. And we just reached a milestone. We're at 8 billion today, or yesterday. So, you guys don't see the big picture. You don't see what I've been doing to try to save America. You don't see what I've been doing to save you for the big picture. The majority of you haven't watched all my videos from 2017. There's just too many of them for you now. If you've not been watching since then, you're way behind, and you will never be able to catch up. And so, it's a sad situation to witness that Mormons outright rebelled. That you cannot see when the prophets give their talks what they're actually telling you, what they're trying to get away with. You can't see from their symbolism, from the Utah flag, how a danger they are to everyone, the whole human race. You don't remember, or you didn't learn about the atrocities of World War II's Nazi Germany, and you're going to be caught unaware if they win, if they get their nation restored. So, you guys need to be a lot more scared than you are. But I'm the one who did the work. I know how afraid you're supposed to be. And you can't just be ignorant and naive about it and hope it all goes away, as the church tries to teach you. And so, when I see Mormons weaponized by the church to attack me, to hate me, to pretend to be my friend and stab me in the back, it's, I don't know, I do feel like saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And so, what's next, you might ask? Now that you've missed the 2 harvests, the gathering back to Zion, well, the Book of Mormon tells us we're going to see a division in this nation. As you just saw, the House took over, or the GOP took over the House. And so the investigations are going to stop. The Senate could take over the investigations, but there's lots of power in the House without needing the Senate approval and the presidential signature. There's a lot that they can screw up, and they can have impeachment proceedings, even though they are sure that it will lose in the Senate, but it will please Trump to pursue the impeachment. And so Biden will get impeached along with Harris, and that will anger their base, as they will see injustice, and that's their intention, is to weaponize you, and America will be divided. It's already divided. would be a type of civil war in which states secede from the nation because they aren't happy with the current government and unable to do things the way they want them to be run. And so, yes, this is why the church is doing what they're doing. That's part of their plan, is for a trigger moment from our government to have states secede from the nation. And Utah will be part of that secession, because the church then can control the state of Utah and establish Zion. And like I said, if you think that's a good idea, you do not know the horrors that is awaiting you. And, I mean, how do I get that across to you? If you are anybody but a white male, you need to fear. And even white males need to fear if they're poor and not in leadership. Because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to turn out just like they did, having been loyal to Trump and then get betrayed by him. Oh no, I realized too late that he's a bad guy. Yeah, we have no empathy for you. We all knew it from the beginning, even before he was running. All New Yorkers knew he was a bad guy. You guys weren't paying attention to him. You saw him in one of those Christmas movies, Home Alone, I think it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 52, whatever it was. And you thought, oh, yay, he's a TV celebrity, just like Ronald Reagan. And I'm remembering Dead Valley Days. Yeah. Born in East LA, man, I was. That is a very well done movie. Well done, Cheech and Chong. I guess it was just Cheech in that one, wasn't it? But, but you guys do not know the atrocities that are coming, because each state will then create their own fascism and their own laws of their own design of fascism. And we already know what the church is going to be. They've been setting it up and preparing for it. This is what they're doing. This is what they're working for. This is why they have all these plan A, B, C, D, E, F, Gs for that end goal. And so, after that, climate change disasters. Apparently they're going to be worse next year. And it will cause massive destruction of America. And they've purposely done that. As we've seen, the combustion engine purposely increase the temperature of the earth. Governments refusing to cut back and go green, like solar panels, solar power. Instead, they want to increase the temperature of the earth. And by so doing, we are where we are today as a consequence. Human-caused climate change. And they're playing you for dumb. As we all learn in grade school, we need plants to take the carbon dioxide, turn it into oxygen for us to breathe. Photosynthesis. And so if we cut down all the plants and increase the population to 8 billion, as a third of the Amazon is gone, you can see where the dilemma is. The increase in carbon dioxide increases the temperature as well. And so that causes problems in the waters, and storms develop in the air, and so on and so forth. And earthquakes, and dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Ghostbusters. So that's what we got. And the majority of you probably don't even remember the videos or have watched the videos where I tell you we're not supposed to go to Missouri. When the destructions happen and you're forced to migrate the earth, and Mormons are thinking, is this the time where we go back to Zion? The church has already got it all set up. They knew in advance. You're going to go to Missouri and find not a wagging dog's tail there. And because it's supposed to be Southern Illinois, where you'll find me in one of the caves, all by myself with my solar powered generators and the 200-pound Egyptian gold plates. So, yay, we're all gonna die.